Andy Biggs was first elected to serve the people of Arizona's 5th District in 2016. He currently serves on the House Oversight and Reform Committee and the House Judiciary Committee, where he is the ranking member of the Subcommittee on Crime, Terrorism, and Homeland Security. He also served as the chairman of the House Freedom Caucus. He is current co-chair of Border Security Caucus, vice chair of the Congressional Western Caucus, and co-founder of the Bipartisan War Powers Caucus. We have a lot to talk about with Andy Biggs, who is running for House leadership. Andy, welcome to the program.
Glenn, good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
It is great to have you. Where do we even start? What is your path or anybody's path to the Speaker of the House when you have to get 218 votes?
Well, in a thin majority like we're going to have, it may be as big as 5 seats, might be as few as 3. It's a tough path for anybody. I think Kevin's kind of polarizing. I don't know that most of my colleagues would think that, but 36 people voted against him yesterday. Which means he's got a lot of meat on the bone, right? And then I'm apparently polarizing as well. But the point was, somebody had to stand up and say, look, no more, change the status quo. So what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of internal family discussion, if I can put it that way, between now and January 3rd. And I suspect if it's not me and it's not Kevin, you'll get basically a consensus candidate that'll come out where people will say, better this guy or this lady than Biggs or McCarthy.
So how is this going to help us shape the party into a more vigorous do something party, be for something party?
Well, that is my goal. And that's one of my reasons that I felt I had to stand up against Kevin, because I think this internal discussion will help invigorate whoever's coming in to understand you're going to have to fight. You're going to have to use all the tools, all the leverage points to stop Biden and also keep the promises we made to the American people. And so I reached out and talked to some of my more liberal Republican friends, and they want to come to the table too. And we will find things that, believe it or not, that we agree on. Believe it or not, virtually every member of this conference, except for some squishy middle people, not on both ends, we want a border wall. On both ends, we want to fix Title IX so you can go after the men in locker room thing. And on both ends, we want to fix this place so we can at least offer an appropriations process to start bringing down spending to get our budget in balance. You have some right in the squishy middle that just want to not really do anything. And I think we're going to invigorate him that way, Glenn.
Well, I will tell you, doing nothing was Mitch McConnell's. Well, actually, he did more than nothing. He actually ran campaign ads and spent money against Republicans. But doing nothing, and we just can't be the Democrats, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. We need a fresh vision for America.
Yeah, I agree. And Glenn, I'm a big believer that when the other side views you as political enemies, which they do, and then we have to treat them and use the same tools they've used against us. Why in the world would Kevin back down from impeaching Alejandro Mayorkas, who in my mind has committed multiple high crimes and misdemeanors and has made this country a far less safe country than it should be and is attacking our very sovereignty? And he did. He backed off of that. Well, as soon as he did that, I said, well, I've got to step in. Somebody's got to step in because we cannot go any longer down that path. And right now, Glenn, I'll tell you, I know that there's probably around 10, 15 people who've indicated they will never support Mr. McCarthy. And that means that we have to find somebody else who will fight the fight.
Okay, so what should the Republican agenda be in Congress? What are some of the ideas that you and your friends are kicking around that you're like, this is the top 10. Got to do this.
Yeah, you have to fix the appropriations process to slow the inflation fueling government spending that we have. You got to do that.
Hang on just a sec. Let me explain that to the best of my ability. We have to have a budget, and then it goes to appropriations, and they say, you get this amount, this department gets this amount, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, with a continuing resolution, we don't get any of that. We haven't since 2008. What makes you think you can get it to appropriations to be able to start carving this money out?
You have to enforce it. You have to lead and say, we expect you to get this done. And there are ways to do it. Like you could, if you really wanted to streamline it, you would say every authorizing committee, in other words, every committee. So if you're on judiciary, you'd say you're going to have the appropriations line items within a subcommittee on that committee, working with the appropriations committee, and you're going to get this thing done by March 31st. And then we go through and we negotiate that out, and you start working on a line-by-line budget, a line item budget, true line item budget, a zero-based budget. And you can do that. But as long as we basically mess around and not do that, I think Kate Granger, who is the appropriations chair, I think she's frustrated beyond belief. I think the budget committee guys are frustrated. You can get this done with great leadership. Can you get it
through the Senate?
Once it gets through the Senate, who knows? Because you got the Democrats going to be in control of the Senate again, and they're going to blow everything up. That's just
right. Well, it's important to at least try. Okay, so appropriations next.
Next, border fence and border security. You can get all of those types of things through here, and part of it is you do it through the appropriations process, by the way. But you build a border fence. It's a standalone bill. Don't put it in this big conglomeration of immigration crap that some people like this part. Do it straight up, transparency. So that's another aspect that we would do to change the way we operate, and we do a lot more standalone single budget bill, single item bills.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. So everybody can see what's in there. You do the Title IX thing. You do the bring back the Keystone Pipeline. You do that as leverage with a must-pass bill. You do in the NDAA bill. You leverage that bill to get rid of vax mandates and bring back these men and women who we spent millions of dollars training, and they love this country. They're loyal to this country. You bring them back. You can do all of those things with our normal process. If you've got the leadership, you streamline through your budgetary process, again, things like permitting exploration, development, extraction of American oil and gas. How about water? For the last 2 years, there's been no hearing, maybe the last 4 years, no hearings on water, which is in the western United States is in a crisis level. So you bring that back. I mean, these are things we can do when you unite, I don't know, the Tuesday Group problem solvers together with the Freedom Caucus. And that is what leadership would look like.
So tell me at the same time, because if I had a voice and I was king of the Congress, I would say, you pass everything as fast as you possibly can. You go in there with an agenda. You have everything all done. You work on it starting now, late at night. You introduce it. You pass it. Boom, 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 boom. Come what may. If it doesn't go past the Senate, fine. But at least we've done our job. And then investigate and finish this with Hunter Biden. Finish this with COVID. We don't even know where it came from. That's bullcrap.
Yeah.
Are we going to investigate these people?
I'm told we are. I'm on the two committees that do the investigations. We've been actually meeting for a month and a half or two talking about preservation letters. We've sent out preservation letters. We've done all the preliminary work to be ready to go. Judiciary did a 1,000-page report on the politicization of the FBI and DOJ.
Thank you.
All of those have to be done, but if we think we're going to just take off between now and then, which we're going to because that's the way Congress works, That's a problem. We should be doing everything I'm talking about when you're talking about now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now. You know, look, Orson Welles is a hero of mine. He's taught me a lot of things from his life to do and not to do. One of the best stories of Orson Welles is he had a contract with RKO. And it was this enormous contract. He was bluffing. He had no idea what movie he was going to make. And he goes in, and RKO has no access to him, his actors, the script, nothing. And once they've signed it, RKO wants to get onto that set, and they want control of the movie, whatever movie he's making, which turns out to be Citizen Kane.
Right.
He knew that if he failed, and this is the way you should look at the American people, he knew if he ran behind schedule for 1 minute, RKO would come in and supervise everything. So he took his people, like right now, he took his people for a week or 2 weeks prior to them ever getting on the set. Cameramen, everybody, and he invited them to his house and said, let's mock film these scenes. So the first day, RKO was there, and they were waiting for him to fail and get behind because he's never made a movie before. They had somebody standing at the door, so when the bell rang at the end of the day, they could get a sheet and see how far they were. When the guy came back to Selznick and Selznick looked at him and said, am I on the set yet? Have you gotten me on the set? How far behind are they? He said, I'm sorry, sir, but he's 5 days ahead. That's what you guys need to do. You need to work right now. Right now. We may not have another Christmas or Thanksgiving a couple of years from now if you guys won't work through Thanksgiving and Christmas.
No, I agree with you 100%. Look, I will just tell you, this is important for everybody to understand. Congress will only work for 8 to 10 months in this next year. And I say that, and it's one of the biggest flaws of Congress, because you're moving into a presidential election, a presidential cycle, and the House of Representatives is on a 2-year election cycle. We will, whatever we don't get done in August or September of next year, there will be hardly anything that happens the following year because it's a presidential
you guys better.
election.
I'm telling you, Andy, this is it. The American people are done with you guys. They're done with Republicans.
Absolutely, yeah.
Done.
Well, they have every right to be. And if we don't get something meaningful done and move the ball forward, look, let's say, because we're dealing with Democratic majorities in the Senate and the presidency, let's say we can't get all of our stuff done. We should at least get our bills done, not performance art. Glenn, it just cannot be performance. It has to be substantive.
Correct.
And we have got to move the ball forward, or otherwise we will fail to lay down the foundation for 2024. And if we fail to lay the foundation down, we'll lose 2024, which means we will lose this country irrevocably.
Andy, I appreciate it. God bless. I'd love to have you back on again, and I thank you for the trouble that you are probably in with all of the,
I'm in a bit of a hot soup there, Glenn.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you are. Thank you so much, Andy, for doing the hard work. Thank you. God bless.
Thanks, Glenn.
Congressman from Arizona, Andy Biggs. He is talking to us about who's going to be the next Speaker of the House. And hopefully it will not be Kevin McCarthy.